Greetings, everybody. It ain't Super Wednesdays. It's Super Tuesday here in Elon Moreh. You can see a little bit in the back, different background here. I'm at my house, and I don't have the camera team. Efraim, miss you, brother. Hope everyone's doing okay. Everyone's safe out there. Everyone's hanging in. Okay, title of our class today, with God's help. None of this was planned, but you gotta roll with the punches. So I hope to have two classes. The first class title is The Amazing Prophecy of the Zohar for the 14th of Nisan, April 8th, 2020. Okay, now this is pretty amazing stuff. We know that every year on the 14th day of Passover, on the 14th day of Nisan, we, in the beginning of the night, we check for any chametz, any unleavened bread or the like. And then in the morning of the 14th of Nisan, this year it comes out April 8th, we burn our chametz, our unleavened bread, anything left in the house. And then we have as we burn the chametz, we have a special prayer that we say. And listen closely to some of the words of this prayer, which can be found in most prayer books. May it be your will, O God, that just like I am burning my chametz from my quarters, from my home, may you too destroy all the evil doings from the world. And also, may you cleanse our inclination, our evil inclination. And may all the wickedness of the world, like a cloud, come to an end. And may you remove the impure government, kingdom, from the land. Just like you destroyed the Egyptians this time of year, 3,400 years ago, so too in our times. Now, when it mentions the evil ruling class government, who is it talking about? We might think many evil regimes today that exist. And when we say evil, we don't necessarily mean people like Chinese or in Middle Eastern countries, though they of course are evil. But there's also many cultures that go against the laws of the Torah, go against the laws of the seven laws of Noah. So, who else are we talking about? So this is an amazing thing. The Zohar writes in Tikkunei Zohar 21st, on page 50, side B. He says the following, the Zohar: we know that there are supposed to be 72 righteous people in the land of Israel who protect not only Israel but the entire world. However, there's a verse in the prophet Hosea 10:2, he writes that their hearts have split. And the Zohar said, what does it mean that the hearts have split? He says now, because of a certain element of the Jewish people, there are no longer 72 righteous people in the land of Israel that protect. Now it's split into two. There are 36 in the land of Israel and 36 outside the land of Israel. What caused the split? And then it says, very interesting, the Erev Rav, the multitudes, when the Jewish people left the land of Egypt, there were 2 or 3 times the amount of nations than there were Jews. Amazing thing. There were like 8-9 million converts that came. But of course their conversion was not serious, as it's easy to jump on the bandwagon when you see everything's going the way for the Jewish people, 10 plagues, you don't have to be a New England Patriot fan. It doesn't take a lot of guts. When you're winning, a lot of people jump on that bandwagon. So this is an amazing thing. And then it says that there is a secret here. This is based on the verse in Genesis. It says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 6, it says that God divided the water in the world. Half of it went above to the heavens, and half below, stayed below. So too says the Zohar, that in the end of days, there will be a division, a separation between the Jews and the Erev Rav, these multitudes who've caused all the problems. From the time where the golden calf, who was responsible for doing the golden calf? That was the multitudes. And if you look throughout the time of the Jews spent in the desert, there's always the multitudes, the nations behind that. So they will be destroyed. There will be a separation once again. Today they're amongst us, but on that day there will be a separation. And when is that? Amazing thing. The Zohar goes on to say that this time will occur on the 14th. On the 14th day of the first month, the Jewish month of Nisan. This year it turns out to be April 8th, 2020. And amazing thing, when people ask you how many days are there of Passover, most people say 7. Not exact, because the Zohar writes here, very interesting, that there will be another Passover. So there will basically be 14 days. So once again, the time where the multitudes of the nations, the Erev Rav, will be destroyed, that possibility exists every year, especially on the 14th day of Nisan, when we burn our unleavened bread. And that symbolizes, the chametz symbolizes the side of evil. And that is the Erev Rav, the multitudes that joined the Jewish people. So there will be 7 days of Passover, celebrating Passover, the previous Passover, 3,400 years ago. And there will be a new celebration of a Passover, this time 7 more days. So 7 plus 7, you have 14. So these are 14 days. There will be a new, so to speak, Passover that will make the old Passover pale. But we still will celebrate we still will celebrate and remember that first one. So this is an amazing thing, because we know the number 14 really stands up in our days. You hear all the time, all over the world, the quarantine for a person because of the coronavirus, COVID-19, is 14 days. You have to be in solitaire. So, amazing thing, 1414. And we have this year a special time, the most special time of the year, to erasing, eliminating the evil from the world. The evil within ourselves, the evil of nations, of regimes, and the evil of the Erev of those multitude nations. But the beat goes on. The beat goes on. We are told in the tractate of Ta'anit, page 29, side A, it is said there, Mishenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha, when we enter the month of Adar, which was a month ago, marbim b'simcha, we increase happiness. Rashi comes up with an amazing statement. What does Rashi say? When we enter the month of Adar, we increase our happiness. Rashi says, these are the days of Adar, 30 days of Adar, and 30 days of Nisan, where tremendous miracles occurred for the Jewish people. An amazing Rashi. Rashi sees that basically Siamese twins are Adar and Nisan, a time for miracles. And if we look closer, a time of redemption. During the time of Purim, the Jewish people were redeemed. They were about to be annihilated by Haman and his ilk. In the time of Passover, we have the redemption, of course, from Egypt after 210 years of being enslaved in Egypt. So listen to this. It's written that in many books, I'm reading right now from the halachic book, Nitai Gavriel. It's a very big Talmid Chacham in New York. And he has books on each of the holidays, law. And here's what he writes. An amazing thing. He says, in the war that King Saul fought, the first war against Amalek, the arch enemy of the Jewish people, when was it? Most of us don't know when that was. So now, tremendous secret here. When was that war? So he writes that the war took place on the 14th day of Nisan. How do we know? Because it says that King Saul, when he wanted to count the Jewish soldiers, we know that Jews cannot be counted. So you have to use some different medium in order to get a number, coins or collateral, and then you count the coins or the collateral, and then you know how many Jews, how many soldiers you have. So what did he use? He used goats. That's pretty unusual to use a goat. So if you look in Yonatan ben Uziel, who was a tremendous righteous sage, one of the Tanaim, one of the early times of the Talmud, he explains there that what does it mean that he sent them goats? It means that that each Jew gave a piece of the Passover sacrifice. And then King Saul knew how many people, how many soldiers were present. So this is an amazing thing. We see that the ideal time during the entire year of the downfall of Amalek is once again, we see on the 14th of Nisan, which is April 8th, 2020, this year, their downfall. So we see that the next idea is that, here we go. In the month of Nisan, we see the connection that Moses tells the Jewish people, this month is your month. This month of Nisan, it's the first month, and it's your month. Chodesh hazeh lachem. This is your month. What does that mean? So it says that means that it will always be, this month of Nisan is always the best month for the Jewish people. Because the word Nisan comes from the word miracles, Nisim. And listen to this. And therefore, God made it that Haman, the wicked, when he drew lots to see when he was going to kill the Jewish people, that took place in the month of Nisan, the best month for the Jewish people. According to Rashi, the two best months for the Jewish people are Adar and Nisan. So he draws lots on Nisan, and he falls. He's killed himself in Nisan. He's hanged in the month of Nisan. But later, 11 months later, in Adar, tens of thousands of enemies of the Jewish people, most of them Amalekim, enemies of the Jewish people, were annihilated by the Jews. So therefore, the Neta Gavriel ends by saying that divine presence had it that Haman would draw lots during this month of Nisan, because this is a special month for vengeance against enemies of the Jewish people. So it's an amazing thing that we see. So Adar is vengeance against enemies of the Jewish people. And during the month of Nisan, we have the same vengeance against enemies of the Jewish people, either Egyptians or in the times of Haman. Haman himself was hanged in the month of Nisan, and his 10 sons. So we're beginning to understand the connection between Adar and Nisan, and what Rashi is saying, that these are great times for miracles, redemption, and revenge against the enemies of the Jewish people, including Amalek, including evil regimes, including the Erev Rav, amongst the Jewish people, the multitudes. Now, the amazing prophecy of the Zohar Kadosh. Zohar Kadosh, written in Parshat Pinchas, on page 249, side A, some editions at side B. It's written the following. In the month of Nisan, the Jewish people were redeemed. In the future, the Jewish people will be also redeemed in the month of Nisan. When in Nisan? On the 14th day of Nisan. Why? Because it says in the book of Exodus at the end, the final verse of the portion of Bishalach, Ki yad al kes yah. God has sworn, yad. Yad is spelled Yud Daled. Yud Daled, numerical value, is 14. So God swears that on the 14th, he will fight and eliminate Amalek. So this is the ideal time of the entire 365 days of the year. This, the 14th, once again, this amazing number, which is now being publicized all over the world, to be quarantined, separated. So this is the time, and then the Zohar continues and says, and this too will also be the time, the 14th, April 8th, 2020, will also be the time when the descendants of Esav, not only Amalek, but also the descendants of Esav will also be destroyed. And at that time, the Jewish people will take for themselves sheep or goat for their sacrifice. And at that same time, those that were the leaders of the Jewish people, those that sinned against God, they will be taken out to the desert, and there they will be judged, and they will die in a plague of darkness. So just like in Egypt, the 80%, the evil of the Jewish people that did not want to leave Egypt, they were destroyed. So too, in our final redemption, may it be today, may it be this year, this will once again repeat itself. We know that what happened in Egypt repeats itself in our times. We see all over the world plagues and pandemics. And we're not finished. There's another tremendous prophecy. May we see it in our month this year. This prophecy is brought down by an author called Rokeah, and it's brought in many, many, many other books. The author of Rokeah, he writes on the tractate of Psachim. He writes there that the war against Amalek, enemies of the Jewish people, will be on the 14th of Nisan. The building of the Beit HaMikdash, the third Beit HaMikdash, there is a Kabbalah that we have received from generation to generation, that the third temple will be built on the 15th day of Nisan, which is Passover. And then the celebration, the 7-day celebration, the Chanukat HaBayit, will take place from the 23rd, a day after Passover, the 22nd, from the 22nd to the end of the month. So once again, we have on the 14th, we have the destruction, just like previously. Previously in Egypt, the 14th was the destruction of the Egyptian firstborn. So too, in King Saul's time with Samuel the prophet, the first war against Amalek in the land of Israel, that was on the 14th day of Nisan. The Erev of the multitudes of nations which are entwined amongst the Jewish people, that is also their time that they will be separated and destroyed, removed from the Jewish people. That's also on the 14th. On the 15th is the building of the third temple. And immediately after Passover, because it says in the Talmud that we don't mix up celebrations, so we still give Passover its limelight, its stardom, and then right afterwards, on the 22nd, to the end of the month for 7 days, there will be the dedication ceremony for 7 days, the Chanukat Habayit. Now, this amazingly is brought down by the Chatam Sofer. Chatam Sofer was asked in his work Orach Chaim, on Orach Chaim 103. He was asked if a person is allowed to fast in the month of Nisan. We know, generally speaking, a person is not allowed to fast in the month of Nisan. But a person was asking maybe the last half of the month, because Passover only goes till the 21st, from the 15th to the 21st. So maybe for the last 8 or 9 days of Nisan, we could fast. So then Chatam Sofer brings down this famous Maaseh Rokeah in the Tractate of Psachim, who says that we have a tradition that the Beit HaMikdash will be built on the 15th day of Nisan, and then we'll have the 7 days later on, we'll have the 7 days. So the entire month is a month of tremendous joy. So therefore, to keep the fast for a different time. So this is tremendously exciting. This is really amazing. And the 14 days of the quarantine in our times where we hear all over the world, and when we see what is going on in the world, we spoke in our previous videos about regimes that are evil because they are atheists, they don't believe in God, or evil because they try to annihilate the Jewish people, like in Iran, atheists like China, South Korea, or Avodah Zarah, idol worshipping in Italy, the Vatican, and of course what the Christians have done for 2,000 years against the Jewish people. And all coming together we see the collapse of the entire structure of the world as we knew it. It depends on us, folks, because this is not what I'm reading you. It's new for us, but it's been in the books for thousands of years. But we see that so many times we could have been redeemed, but we messed up. We messed up. And we did not merit, so we lost those opportunities. It wasn't like the words of the Torah, God forbid, were not true, or the rabbis telling us that there are special times for redemption. But we have to earn that. So, myself, all of us, let's take it. Today's the 6th. We have 8 more days to go. And so let us, every one of us, in as many areas as possible, thought, actions, words, let us perfect ourselves. Let us move ourselves one step 2 steps forward. And may we see these amazing prophecies of the Zohar Kadosh, of the Maseh Rokeah, in this month, on the 14th, 15th, and the rest of the month. V'nomar Amen.